This is a tale of two brickies, one called Colin and one called Ted. Now, meet Colin and Ted. Both work as bricklayers for a local company. They've been friends for years and always worked together since leaving school. One day they were working on a job that involved working from great heights. Unfortunately, on a very windy day, they were both up a ladder and the ladder fell to the ground, resulting in them both breaking their legs. It was very ironic as they both broke their leg in the exact same place. The consultant could not believe it as he was working with two people with identical fractures. Colin was disappointed, but he loved his job and he worked well with the OTs and physios, taking on board all their advice, and he was soon back home. He insisted on an early discharge and said he would have a bed downstairs to ensure that he got home quickly. Ted, on the other hand, felt very frustrated. He didn't like the OTs and physios telling him what to do. He felt he was being patronised as he was a lot older than them and he knew best. He refused to go home with a bed downstairs and ended up being in hospital for 2 weeks longer than Colin. Colin made real progress. He was soon off his crutches and walking with a stick. Ted decided that he wanted to stay with his crutches as he didn't want to risk falling and injuring his already injured leg. Colin soon got back to walking without the need of a walking aid and was able to walk to the shops, just for things like getting himself a pint of milk. But from this he felt a real sense of achievement, as he was previously having to rely on family to do this. Ted, on the other hand, was very fearful. He never left the house. He had to rely on family members to run errands for him. Colin kept calling in on Ted to motivate him to come for a walk with him when he was walking the shops. But Ted always declined, and eventually stopped answering the door when Colin called, so Colin stopped calling. Colin decided that he was starting to feel a lot better and a lot stronger, so he thought about doing some volunteer work. The OT suggested this might be useful for him, as he wasn't quite fully fit for full-time work yet. He thought about what to do, and he thought about his stamina, and he thought about how his job was very physical. So he decided to do some volunteer work, working for a local charity with war veterans. He loved this, and he found he could relate to the veterans, having been through what he had been through with his leg. He also got back to playing golf, which was something he'd loved to do prior to breaking his leg. And he even started taking some of the few war veterans golfing with him. He did so well at the volunteering that when the new role of a volunteer coordinator came up, he went for the post and was successful. Although he loved bricklaying, he had now found a new passion, working with people. He felt he had found something he could be really good at, but also something that was extremely rewarding. He felt guilty about accepting the new post, so spoke to his old boss at the bricklaying company. His boss was totally understood and valued that Colin had spoke to him about him. Colin offered to go back, and again as a voluntary basis, and run some workshops for the new apprentices that the boss had taken on at the bricklaying company, and his boss gladly accepted. Ted unfortunately never returned to work. He developed a bad back because he had continued to use his crutches, and he also became very low in mood and also extremely anxious whenever he had to leave the house for doctor's appointments. Many years later, Colin was walking down the local high street, and an older gentleman in an electric scooter stopped him and said, "My old friend Colin, long time no see." Colin didn't recognise the man at first, and then he realised it was Ted. He was shocked to see him looking so aged and in a scooter, and he said to Ted, "Goodness, what happened to you, mate?" thinking to himself, my old friend must have had a stroke or heart attack or something awful must have happened. And Ted replied, you know what happened? I broke my leg just like you, although I wasn't lucky like you, as mine didn't heal properly. That's why I'm like this.